In this video, we're going to talk about copying from one table to another. So let me put that down as a comment. Copying from one table to another. But before I do that, I want to talk to you a little more about using, and then the name of the database, and then go. Take a look here. So imagine you have multiple databases in Object Explorer. And imagine I have this AdventureWorks database. And you can imagine this has many tables in it, and so on. To use that database to create the context that will allow me to access the tables in AdventureWorks, I would type use AdventureWorks, and then I might type go. Alright, so hit execute. And that completes successfully, nice. That, remember, simply means create the correct database context. But now if I type, for example, select star from table _2, that doesn't show anymore, you see? It cannot be found. And that is because we are in the wrong database context. Hover your mouse over table 2 and it says invalid object name table _2. So we are not in the correct context anymore. And to fix that, you can switch context by saying use my dbase as an example, okay? And if you run it this way, it's going to work. Even without the go, it's going to work. So for our purposes, unless you are actually switching database context, you can even just not use those if you don't want to. And this should still work for you. Fine. So let's go here with copying. First, let's do this a very simple way. Imagine we want to copy everything from table 2 into table 4, for example. So you type select star from, and then here you put into table 4 like that. I'm going to break this up over multiple lines here, so it's a little more neat, like that. So remember, this is going to copy all of the columns into table 4 from table 2. Let's take a look here. So execute, and it says 5 rows affected, correct? On the left side, right click and refresh the view. All right, expand the tables node back, so you have table 4 here. And if you expand it, it just tells you everything that's in the original table. But there's one difference, take a look. In table 2, look very carefully. Maybe pause the video for a second and try to find the difference. Alright, so when you look at this, notice that the copied version, which is table 4, doesn't have, for example, the ID set anymore as the primary key. But then more than that, take a look. If you go to the indexes folder in table 2, that has the pk underscore table 2 clustered. But over here under indexes, you don't have that. So when you make copies, the rows, the records, the data gets copied, but as you can see, some of the information is also lost. So just be aware of that. If you wanted to, how do you get rid of a table quickly? You can literally just right click the name of the table and then delete it. But using SQL, you can type drop table, and notice that's blue. So those are basically keywords that have a specific meaning, and I'm going to say here name of table, like table 4. Alright, take a look, hit execute. And now again, to see the change, refresh the view on the left side. Alright, go into the tables, right click and refresh. And notice table 4 is gone. So drop table 4 gets rid of tables, or whatever the table name is. Alright, so far we've learned you can copy one table into another. Some of the information during that process gets stripped away, and we've learned how to drop a table. So at the next stage, just to show you that you can, we're going to make the copying a little more sophisticated. To show you that, for example, you can perform operations and then copy out and so on. So all that you've learned that you can do until now can be done even with copying. So let's see here. I'm going to say select department name, like that, as, for example, department. So here we're aliasing. All right, the next line I'm going to type sum, and then sales amount, like that. And I'm going to divide that. That means I use the slash symbol. I'm going to type here count, for example, of the number of salespeople, salesperson, like that. So what I want you to do is pause the video and ask yourself, what does this represent? When you take a quantity and you add it up and you divide by the number, for example, of records that you have, or people, what does that represent? Think back to some basic math. So remember, you're adding up and you're dividing by the number you have essentially. So this is an average. Average sales, for example, that's what it means. All right, let's run this in this different form. So hit execute, and we get an error message that says something. So look very carefully through the error message at the end especially. And now the question is, how do we fix this? Well, we are using the sum and the count. Those are aggregating functions. You're counting things and you're adding them up. And you're grouping essentially by the department. So let me move this up a little bit. And I'm going to say group by department name. Let's observe the results. Hit execute. And it looks like that. All right, on the left side, right click and refresh the tables view in the Object Explorer. And you've got table number 4, expand.node. And this time, notice that the columns there are department, nvarchar 50. Remember, nvarchar is the one that can store a variety of characters, including characters that are accented and come from different scripts. All right, and then the average, and that is of type money. So this example proves that besides just copying one table into another directly, you can use more complex queries to create table copies. And again, as before, if you wanted to now, you can type select star from table 4. Table already exists. It's a regular table once it's copied out, and you can operate on it. You see? The department and average. And notice that the aliased form of the fields has been saved here. So we aliased department to represent department name, and this word average represents this entire calculation. And the department and the average are saved as the field names inside table 4. So the aliases are used for that purpose here. Right. And again, if you need to, you drop it and then try to run it again. And of course, that won't work anymore after you drop the table. It gets rid of the table, that's all. All right, I'm going to leave it here, and I'll see you in the next one.